Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, let's talk about the rise of super fake handbags and the impact these super fakes are having on the luxury resale market and on luxury shopping in general. I recently put out a video talking about the resale market and the changes in it over the last couple of years and the impact on the market of bags that are priced ridiculously high and over retail. In the comment box on that video, so many of you came in and said to me, okay, but let's talk about super fakes. That's what's actually destroying the market. That's what I'm worried about. That's what takes my security away about buying resale, and indeed that's what's impacting buying luxury altogether. So let's talk about it. And I went down the rabbit hole of research into super fakes after I got the comments on that video. There are so many articles on this that can be read. I came across one for ABC News that was published in April of this year, 2024, and this article is focusing on the rise of these bags. So what are they? They are bags that have been made by replica factories. Some of them, according to this article, are even handmade, and according to this article, which I will link down below in the description box, some Birkins, replica Birkins, are handmade and are selling for over $6,000. That is so much money for what you would have once associated with a replica or a counterfeit. When I thought about counterfeit bags, I thought about the sellers on the streets, certainly in European cities, and the bags were so obviously counterfeited. They weren't really a concern when I initially thought about buying Preloved or whenever I was thinking about buying a bag at retail, because the counterfeits not only have an impact on the resale market, they also have an impact on deciding to buy a bag at all at the prices that they currently are, with the huge increases in luxury prices for handbags and the availability of a replica that apparently looks exactly the same and can cost up to a fraction of the cost. But boy, have they came on and emerged in that market. They have perfected their craft. I'm going to put that in inverted commas because let's be real here. This is still intellectual property theft. And that sounds all very, oh la la la, look at you getting on your high horse. But what it is taking a design and a creative piece that has been designed by a company, by a luxury brand, that they have worked hard to create that exclusivity, that allure, that love of that bag, and effectively copying exactly what they have done. And that is intellectual property theft if we want to get technical about it. But it's also not their creativity. It's not something they have created. They've just taken the bag, copied it, and made it in a way that they can sell it on a lot cheaper than what it would be if you were buying it retail in the boutique. And the concern that so many of you had in the comment box, and I share this concern, is when you buy Preloved, even though there are some brilliant deals to be found Preloved and the price on the Preloved market is coming down and is getting back to being a little bit more realistic, save for some very exclusive bags, there is a risk that what you're buying is a counterfeit. And I'm no expert, so I cannot say to you that I would receive a bag, look at it and know if it was a counterfeit super fake or know if it was an original bag. And that's from someone who's been buying luxury handbags for over 13 years and has owned an awful lot of them. And I did fall for one of these. I bought a bag previously on eBay. It was the Gucci Marmont in the velvet that was very popular a number of years ago. I will link the video above and below, and I was scammed. This is a bag that I bought. I am not a huge Gucci buyer, so I didn't know a lot about it. I don't even know if this bag was particularly a super fake. Maybe if you had more knowledge on Gucci, you would have known that this wasn't authentic, but I bought it. I didn't know the difference, and it sat in my cupboard for quite a long time. When I went on to sell it, I always had a niggling doubt that I'd bought it on eBay and I really should get it checked. So before I sold it, I got it authenticated and it came back as counterfeit. And I had no idea that there had been a counterfeit bag in my collection for that length of time. Personally, and buying counterfeit bags is a personal choice. For me, it's a personal choice that I make not to do. I don't buy replicas, I don't buy super fakes, I buy genuine bags, and that is just my personal choice. But let me say that I can understand with where the ridiculous price point of some of these bags are going at retail, why people are saying, I'm not buying that. I am not spending $11,000 on a Chanel Classic flap or £9,000 on a Chanel Classic flap when I can go and buy a super fake example of that, which looks exactly the same. People won't know the difference. I will still get the look and I will save maybe £7,000, £8,000. So I'm not paying those prices. I think the brands have lost the run of themselves, and wanting us to pay those prices is just something I'm not willing to do. And I understand that viewpoint. I understand why people are deciding to do it. For me personally, I have decided that when a bag like the Chanel Classic Flap goes to the point that it's at now and I won't pay that price retail, I'm simply not going to buy that bag. But I fully understand that that is easier for me to say when I'm sitting in a room where I've already bought a lot of bags quite a few years ago and bought them at a lot less price. So I get that I'm in a position that it's easier for me to make that decision, and I understand, not that I'm supporting it, because there are other risks with counterfeit and we'll come on to that, but I understand why people are saying, I'm going to buy that super fake and I'm not spending that money and giving it to Chanel. It's clear from the comments on that video that the risk is that if you were to buy a bag pre-loved, you would get a super fake or a counterfeit and you would lose all of your money and you wouldn't know. Because some of these bags have got so good the level of counterfeiting that even if you were to get it authenticated, unless you take it into the brand, even they might not know. I have never seen, I don't think, a very, very high level super fake to know of a brand themselves. You would hope they would be able to tell their own product. But a lot of the authentications, the one that I got done on the Gucci bag I'm telling you about was real authentication. It's photographs you sent. So they're not actually feeling the bag. So there is a risk that even if you got one of these super fakes and you got it authenticated, it would slip through the net and you would be left with that bag having spent huge amounts of money. And a lot of you, an overwhelming amount of you, in the comment box said you were just not willing to do it anymore and you weren't willing to shop pre-loved because you're concerned about the risk of getting a fake or a super fake, and for that reason you were out, you just weren't going to do it. And I recently put out a video on the 6 handbags never to buy full price for, and these are 6 bags that the price at retail has increased so high that there are huge savings to be found on the resale market, and you can get bags in excellent condition, in colours, in neutrals, and save significant amounts of money on them. And in that video as well, a lot of you come into the comment box and said that's all well and good, and I know that I can save $1,000 or $2,000 on that bag, but I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because I'm not risking buying a super fake. And what I'm going to do is go to the boutique, pay the price the boutique is asking, because I want to know for certain that my bag is authentic, and I get that. I get that. I said in that video there's a lot of those bags that I have still bought at retail, although I have to say I've been lucky and bought them before the prices as they stand. But if you're faced with a bag that is £2,000 cheaper, it's still going to cost you £4,000. But if you bought it in the boutique, it was £6,000. £4,000 is still an awful lot of money to risk on a counterfeit, and I fully understand why, with the rise of these and the rise in the quality and the difficult to detect them, the nature of trying to identify a counterfeit, why a lot of people are just saying, no, not doing it, not shopping pre-loved, I'm out. For me, I have still shopped pre-loved. The last bag that I bought, let me show you, is this. But let me qualify. I bought this from a YouTuber called Fuchsia Floyd here on YouTube who was doing a vlog sale. This is the Gucci Boston Blooms bag. I did get it authenticated because the YouTuber didn't buy it directly from store. They bought it from Mercury, who I'm not exactly familiar with, although they did tell me that they authenticate it before they send it. I got it authenticated again by Real Authentication, and both of these have come back as it being authentic. That is as close as I can get to this and knowing that this is authentic. I bought that though because I knew who I was buying it from. I don't know her personally, but I've watched her videos and I know the person I was buying from. I don't think that I would buy another bag on eBay. I certainly haven't bought another bag on eBay since I had the Gucci issue. I know that eBay have now brought in luxury goods for sale, and they've now brought in counterfeit, and they've brought in authentication. I would be very, very wary, and I would be very concerned to buy it on eBay, to buy from a platform that is a person personally selling to you, because there is that risk. I would also be concerned with Vestiaire Collective, although I still look on Vestiaire Collective. They still get a huge range of bags. I have bought on Vestiaire Collective before, but I have also watched some horror stories on YouTube, and I would be worried about it. Would I do it? I don't know, but I would be very concerned, and it's not something that I would do easily or lightly, as I have done in the past. before I was probably a bit more knowledgeable about the rise of these counterfeits, and from YouTube, which is a great resource for information, I wasn't as aware, and I bought on Vestiaire Collective a lot easier than I do now. I still have comfort in buying from the likes of Fashionfy or from Rod at the Lux Theory or from other resellers that have their own checks and they get their own authentications done. Maybe they use Entropy or they use different ways of authenticating, and they guarantee that it's authentic and you would get your money back if it's not. Although we're still into the whole issue about being able to prove that it's not. But those I haven't ruled out yet, and I have still bought bags from resellers. You know that I bought my Birkin wherever it is in this room. I've been using bags so they've been moved. I bought that Preloved. I bought that through a reseller, one that Finkelpuff on Instagram, and I've had that authenticated and it's come back as authentic. So yes, that route I'm still okay with going down. Maybe if it was a new reseller that I've never used or I don't know of or I haven't had experience of, I would be more cautious. But that's the route I'm still at the minute kind of okay with. In the article that I am telling you about, the person who wrote the article, and as I say, I will link it down below, spoke to the founder of Fashionfile, which is a site that I love. If it wasn't for Fashionfile being in the US, and when I look at their price, I have to calculate in the taxes and the customs, I would buy an awful lot more bags from Fashionfile because they have such a great inventory. They get so many bags. I'm looking at the Chanel Sequenced Mini here. They have that for sale at the moment, and I know a lot of you love that. They just get the best bags, I think, because it's such a big company. And if it weren't for the taxes, I'd be in trouble. But they spoke to, let me find it in this article. They spoke to Sarah Davies, who is the president and founder of Fashionfile, and she said to them, the truth is there's never been more counterfeits that are better, the superfakes like today. So that is somebody who runs a huge resale platform talking about how good these are and how many of them there are. And she also says in this article, 20 years ago, counterfeits were terrible. Those things were $25. Now, some counterfeit Birkins are $6,000 plus handmade. And she told this to Impact Times Nightline, which was a programme that was looking at the counterfeit luxury goods market. And there was an episode of that streaming on Hulu, Hulu, if anybody's interested in it. So this is getting huge attention because it's having such an impact on this market. And then following on from that, the rise of them and the quality of them is then having that impact we've talked about on luxury goods in general. Because I've previously put out a video talking about why some rich ladies choose to buy fakes. And it's because they are such a good quality and they can get the bag. They don't care about the intellectual property. They don't care that it's a copy. They don't care that it's original. It looks the same. So there's more drive because the prices of the originals are going so high to buy the counterfeits when they look so good and you're saving so much money. And because more people are buying them, that in turn as a cycle floods the market with more of them because the demand is up, more of them are being sold. If they're being sold on or put into consignment or other stores, they're then coming into the market and the cycle continues. And the risk then rises because there's more and more of these things available for sale. This article talks about how the precision and the attention to detail put into making the replicas has made it so difficult to differentiate from the genuine article to the untrained eye, that there's hardly any noticeable differences. And it also goes on to talk about, with the rise of technology, the ability to make a super fake is now easier than it was ever before. Isn't that scary? And I get it. If you're looking at any of these bags on the resale market, isn't that scary? That the US government, this is talking about how good these are. The US government from this article have task forces to try and counteract this, but they're so good. It does make you think that how are we, somebody sitting in our houses ordering from the resale market, not knowing where it's coming from, meant to be sure that that risk isn't there when the bag that we arrive, that we order off eBay or one of the platforms like that. It's scary. One of the questions I get a lot in the comment box is, why is more not done about this? Because I am done trying to keep up with deleting comments in my comment box from replica companies posting on my videos. And I'm not alone. That's on every YouTuber's video that talks about these things. And on Instagram, there are counterfeit bags being openly sold. Why are they not being cracked down on? Instagram removed photographs of genuine, honest people who like luxury bags, who are posting a picture of them wearing their bag with their outfit of the day. That gets removed. But yet there are counterfeit sellers all over Instagram. It blows my brain. How is that not getting removed? And it has to come down to how many of them and keeping up with it and it being reported. And there is a comment on this article from Frank Russo, who is the US Customs and Border Protection, CBP for short. And he is talking about how many of these replicas that they are. And he touches on this in the article about how they're also linked to organised crime. Now, in the article, he is pressed for details as to how they can prove that these bags are linked to organised crime in the US. And he talks about a couple of events that happened, to include the World Trade Center, and indicates they are linked to this. Although he doesn't go into any detail, and it says in the article he doesn't give detail as to how they can link that. And I'm sure they probably can't give detail for security reasons, but it has been a belief certainly for a long time. Whether or not this is in fact or if it's something that's came from urban legend, but certainly there has been a belief that the working conditions, who is making the replica bags, who profits from them for a long time, that they're linked to organisations that you probably wouldn't want to be linked to in real life. And what he is saying is, when you buy one of these bags, these people then have your details, and this is one of the risks of them. He says that China and Hong Kong are responsible for about 70% of the counterfeit goods that they see. And Mark Miller, who is Senior Vice President of the International Anti-Counterfeiting Coalition. So they are trying, there are agencies trying to battle this, but one imagines that they're so flooded in the market, it's hard to keep up. But he says, I would say to people who are thinking, well, I'm just buying a purse, that it's still the same issue, that 1, it's a crime, 2, it's bad for the economy, and 3, they're also giving their financial information to organised crime. So there is a lot of talk about this and about the underbelly of it, and the not as simple as just, do I pay retail price or buy a replica in this article? And it's very interesting. It's something that I personally went down a rabbit hole of researching and looking at these articles. But what is clear is that there's lots of them. And what is clear is that the level of them are now so good and so high that to the untrained eye, like my own, it would be next to impossible to be able to tell the difference. And you're right, in the comment box, that is what's ruining the resale market, because look at the articles, look at the evidence, look at who's talking about it, listen to you guys who are people who would be buying these bags, who are now saying, not doing it, because I'm not risking that fakes are flooding the market and that's what I'm going to buy. So yeah, I hear you and I get it. This is a huge problem for the luxury resale market. It's something that I am now going to be very nervous about when I'm looking at certain sites that I would have more concerns about, or that don't have money back guarantee. And it's something that I can understand why is impacting luxury in general, because there's so many of them. And you have to think about, even with everything that's been said in that article about the different side to what may also come with a replica handbag, but you're thinking about the price of them and what you can get instead, and that is personal choice. And I've told you what my personal choice is, but that's no judgment, because I understand why people buy the replica versions when they're so good at such a less price. Let me know what you think about this discussion. I think it's very, very interesting, and it's very interesting to me to see how many articles there are on it and how many people in government and in the media are talking about it, and it's becoming such a huge prevalent issue. It's not just us on Luxury YouTube talking about the counterfeits, it's becoming much more of a worldwide issue, and there's a lot of attention on it, and I think it's fascinating. Let me know what you think in the comment box. Thank you so much for watching this. If you've found it in any way enjoyable or informative, please do consider giving it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. If you're not done with me yet, I'm going to leave another video for you on the screen to enjoy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching me. Please take care, and I will see you again in the next one.